What is up everyone, Move back again with another video, and today is going to be my latest cinema, digital and streaming watches, episode 3 I believe we're on now. Now, going to give a bit of context to this video guys. I have cheated a little bit here. Now what I've done is I've done an October horror movie watches over on my horror channel. I'll leave it in the link down below if you want to go and check out my horror channel. And that, if you've seen that video, you may not be bothered about watching this. So, you know, I understand if you click off. But 9 of the movies I talked about in that October horror watches, because there was 9 altogether, are going to be in this video. And I'm only doing 10 titles. So I am going to use the clips from that video to put it into this one. So if you haven't seen that video, stick around, you know, these will all be new opinions too. But I've got to be honest with you guys now. I just do not see the point of doing another video talking about the exact same 9 movies that I recorded last night. My opinions haven't changed or anything, so I might as well just throw it in here. But I am going to add the other movie that I watched that wasn't in that video into this one as well to make it up to 10 titles. Hope that all makes sense. And I will mix it about a bit and put them in the order that I watched. That movie is a ranking video, so it's worst to best. Here they'll be in the order of when I watched them. So yeah, hope that all makes sense guys. So I hope you don't mind me doing that. I don't think this will ever happen again. It's just the way it's landed. But if this ever happens again and it's like 3 or 4 movies, I'll just talk about them again. But the fact that it's 90% of the video, I just don't see myself doing that again. Like, I just don't see the point in that. So if you haven't seen that video, you might as well carry on watching. If you have seen the video, you know, I don't blame you for turning off. So let's get into it now. The first thing that I watched since my last video, my last cinema, digital and streaming watches. Next up we have VHS Halloween, which I don't know why they haven't made a VHS Halloween already. They're doing 85, 99, VHS Beyond, and someone must have just said, how about Halloween? We released them on October, on Shudder every October, why not? So yeah, I think we're going to get a VHS Halloween 2 at some point. But what I was really looking forward to this. I've really been recently getting into the VHS movies. The last few years, it's becoming a staple every October now, especially for us Shudder owners. And one that was taking place on Halloween had me really excited. And I thought this will get me in the mood for October. And what I will say about this movie, even though VHS Beyond is my favourite, there was a few stories in that didn't quite fit the sci-fi element. Every single story going on here fits the theme of Halloween. Every single one of them. So that was a big plus, because sometimes they just don't really feel like they're fitting the title. Unfortunately, in VHS Beyond, there was only one story that didn't work for me. Here, there was about 2 or 3 that didn't really quite hit home for me. I do think the wraparound story was kind of cool, where we see these kids drinking this soda and they're sort of spewing up violently and vomiting blood and dying and everything. I thought that was really fun to see every time. And then we have some other stories that weren't really quite working for me. Like, one of them was very sinister and, you know, a little bit hard for people to watch, I imagine, where this guy is just killing kids in the village who owns this sort of camera shop. That was a little bit of a sinister story. That was my least favourite segment of the entire film. There's another one with like the FBI trying to uncover what happened at this spot where a lot of people were killed. That one didn't really do much for me. And there was one where these characters enter a house, and I was really loving it for the first half, and in the second half it was kind of just felt like people running around a haunted house in a fair attraction. That's what it felt like to me. But there was 2 that really did stand out. One of them where these people were turned into sweets because if they take more than one out the candy bowl, when it says please take one, and they take 1 or 2, they take 2 or 3, they are sucked into the candy bowl and chased around by these lunatics who want to turn them into candy themselves. I thought that was one of my favourite segments in any VHS film. And there was another cool one where this guy who has this theme of Halloween in his house every year, and lets the neighbours come in, and you know, he kind of makes it like a haunted house attraction. and the demons and everything in there start taking over and killing people. Thought that was interesting as well. So yeah, it weren't bad. It's just unfortunate that I didn't like the majority of the stories, but the ones I did like really did hit home. So that is VHS Halloween. Looking forward to another one of these next year. Him, oh, I was looking forward to this film after seeing the trailer. I thought that looks like a little bit of me, a little bit of a new original take there, a sports horror thriller movie starring Marlon Wayans. And yeah, it was one of the most overly pretentious, stuck up ass movies I think I have ever seen. Now, this is this quarterback who suffers a terrible injury, and Marlon Wayans, who is this legendary quarterback who may be retiring soon and having this guy take his place, offers to train him up and get him back to his best. And he goes to this house in the middle of the desert where Marlon Wayans lives, and a lot of weird shit starts happening there. And yeah, there's some nice shots in this movie from the director, some interesting choices, and Marlon Wayans puts in a good performance as this guy who's put you on a little bit on edge. The main character doesn't quite know what to do and how to react to this guy, but also as an audience member, you're kind of like, what's he up to? What's his intent here? But apart from that, even though this guy has a lot of nice shots in his directing, was it Justin Tipper his name? Really sorry if I got that wrong. There's just no need. Like, every shot is just doing something that it doesn't need to do. Overly pretentious. Like, we're walking down a hallway at one point in this house, and you can't even see anything but shadows. And it's like, is this guy's house really like that? There's a lot of metaphorical choices, sort of ways of telling the story here, that certain things don't actually mean what they're happening on screen, and this is all done in the third act more than anything in the final 10 minutes. And I was like, what the hell is going on screen here? The main actor in this movie, I think his name's Tyrese something. I'm really sorry I butchered that name. He just didn't have the star staying power to carry this movie, in my opinion. I did see him in the latest I Know What You Did Last Summer movie, and I thought he was good as a more side character there, but as a starring role here, just weren't really doing it for me. And by the end of the film, I was like, so the director done all this art housey craft with these shots just for this very simple way of telling a story. A lot of it is quite predictable. And by the end of the film, I was just glad it was over. I absolutely hated this film, guys. Bottom 5 of the year so far for me. It just was a waste of time. And it felt like the director was just doing this to showcase his talents with some of the visual shots. Yeah, I absolutely hated this movie. I did. So that is him. Next up, we have Good Boy, a film that I thought had a very fresh and unique concept for what was going on here. A horror film, a ghost story, all taken from the dog's perspective. And I gotta say, this dog, Indy, that's the real name of the dog in real life, was absolutely awesome. I absolutely fell in love with this dog, and I thought, if I ever get a dog, I want it to be this breed that Indy is. It was just, man, just the coolest dog ever. And what they were getting this dog to do was awesome to me. I believe this was a very long shoot because the director who actually owns the dog was shooting this over a long period of time, trying to get Indy to do all the right things at the right moment. So I can imagine this shoot to be a pain in the ass. But this is basically just this Indy and her owner, his owner, should I say. And this sort of ghost is in the house, basically, and only Indy can see it, but his owner is very sick, and yeah, it kind of intertwines a little bit there with the owner and the ghost story, and I knew exactly what the director was trying to do halfway through the film, and it works, but I just don't think it's the most interesting story out there. Everything with the dog is fine and everything, but overall, yeah, I just thought this was a very unoriginal story, apart from it being told from the dog's perspective. But yeah, I kind of liked what he done there. It kind of didn't work for me. It was a cool gimmick, and it's only 73 minutes long, so you don't have to stay with it too long. It was fine. But yeah, big shout out to Indy the dog. Awesome. Next up, we have Vicious, which came to Paramount Plus, a Paramount original. I believe this was meant to come out at the start of the year. IMDb had it slated for like a March release, but we got it now in October. And this stars Dakota Fanning, who didn't make the best choice last year in The Watchers. And she's made another little bit of an error here, which is a shame because I think she's a really good actress. And she does a job in this movie. This basically sees this old woman come to her house and say, this box is yours, and you've got to put something in it that you need, something that you can't live without, and something that you love. And this old woman leaves, and things start to get a little bit sinister, and people start to die, basically. And yeah, I thought that was a really good setup, a really good concept. The first half of the hour of the movie, I was like, I've heard some bad things about this from the sort of film festivals and everything, but I'm kind of into it. And then it just went to a very generic story, and not much was really happening. The movie sets up that this Dakota Fanning character has got a lot of trauma and a lot of past that we're going to dig into, and we never quite go there. And by the end of the film, I just thought it had a very confusing ending and didn't give much closure as to what was actually going on in this film. Now, I got to say, out of all the movies on this list, this is the least memorable to me. I am very much struggling to remember what the hell was going on in this movie. And it just felt like a very slow, dull affair. So, yeah, unfortunately, guys, Vicious, not for me. And I hope Dakota Fanning can pick a better movie next year or the next time she does horror. Next up is Elio. And I got to say, this is a film that I really wanted to watch at the cinema, but I just couldn't get to it in time. Now, Pixar movies have really gone a bit downhill lately, I suppose. They're still good. I still enjoy them. Like Turning Red was one of the latest ones, and I can't quite remember the others, but they're just quite safe. And this is exactly what Elio is. This is about this young boy who wants to be kidnapped by aliens, and he is basically kidnapped by them in the end, and his dream has come true. And he's taken to this planet, and basically has to take on this alien who's trying to take over the alien universe, basically. But he interacts with all these different types of alien creatures and everything, and it's fine. It's just a little bit strange, especially the way the villain works in this movie and his sort of species. I won't get into it, but it's just weird. And the movie explores like how people can have an effect on others who are total strangers to them and everything like that. The usual Disney trope type of things. It was fine. The animation was cool and everything. Had a cool little sci-fi aesthetic to it. But overall, guys, I thought this was just okay. It didn't really do too much for me. It was just fine. I was really hoping for a bit more from Pixar, but we haven't had that in quite a while now, have we? But they're still fine movies. I just hope they pick it up a little bit. Probably with Toy Story 5. I'm sure they will because they put their heart and soul into Toy Story. This one, again, just feels meh. So that is Elio. Black Phone 2 from director Scott Derrickson. And I gotta say, I think I enjoyed this a little bit more than the first one, although this one has made me want to go back and rewatch the first movie. I liked the first film, but I wasn't a massive on it. But this one, yeah, this one just worked for me a little bit more. This sees Mason Thames and Madame McGraw suffering from a little bit of trauma from the past, because obviously Mason Thames was taken by the Grabber, and Madame McGraw is having all these strange dreams and everything, where these kids who may be stuck in limbo are trying to tell her something, and the Grabber isn't quite dead yet. I mean, he may be coming back from hell to wreak havoc once again, and it's basically them finding this little mystery and these clues, where to locate this Grabber, where to best find his origins, go there and defeat him once and for all, because he may be coming into Madeleine McGraw's dreams and trying to kill her that way. Kind of like Freddy does in the Elm Street films, and this has a huge Elm Street inspiration worn on its sleeve, and that's why I absolutely loved this movie. I really like it when we go into Madeleine McGraw's dreams and the aspect ratio changes, and you know, the visual style to, I think it's 8mm or was it 16mm? And, you know, just seeing, you know, her dreams and all this sort of retro visual style, that totally worked for me. You can definitely tell women in the dream world are not, you know, and it's basically Mason Thames is like the protector, you know, they're all trying to find a work out this way to defeat this grabber once and for all, and so they can just stop their lives being traumatized by him. And when Ethan Hawke finally comes into the film, it takes a while to get going. He is terrifying in this. I thought he was way more scary in this film than the first one, where he's coming out the shadows and everything, you know, just swinging axes at people and stuff. Yeah. It's just a movie that worked for me a lot more. I really like this setting that we're in as well, where it all takes place in this sort of summer camp, but it all is actually in a blizzard. Now, you don't really see horror movies taking place in summer camps in the winter, do you? But this one turned that on its head, and it totally worked. Some cool side characters in there and everything. Yeah, Madeline McGraw, again, excellent. Some of the, you know, the foul-mouthed dialogue that she comes out with, I'm all for it. I love the way she just calls people all kinds in this film. She is a wonderful actress, and she's got to go on to have a fantastic career, I'm sure. Mason Thames as well, really good in this. Liked him in much more in this movie than the first film. I thought he was kind of weak in the first one, but here he's awesome. Yeah, really, really solid movie, and I hope we get a Black Phone 3. Next up, we have The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, which came to Hulu, and I was instantly wanting to watch this because it has two of my favourite actresses in Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Maika Monroe. And I know this is based, well, it's a remake of an old film. I have not seen the original Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Apologies. But I wanted to jump on this as soon as it came out, mainly for them two actresses. And this sees this babysitter in Maika Monroe come and mind Mary Elizabeth Winstead's kids, who she's kind of this rich woman who, you know, has a lot of errands to run and everything. And everything's fine at first, and then things start to get a little bit weary and awkward. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead is being tested by this babysitter, and she doesn't quite know when to pull the trigger on telling her to leave. And things start going down a little bit of a sinister path because she wants to kind of give her a chance and be polite. And the film just kind of, you know, gets worse and worse for Mary Elizabeth Winstead and her family, basically. Now, I really like the little twists and turns this movie had. I don't know what the original does by the end, but I really liked where this one went. I kind of wish there was a little bit more darker horror and, you know, thrills in there. The movie kind of bumbles along until the third act and doesn't really give it that final oomph, if you like. It kind of plays it very safe. It feels like a streaming film. That's exactly what it feels like. But I gotta say, I did really enjoy this. I loved the performances, which I expected of Maika Monroe and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Really liked some of the awkwardness on screen, because I like it when movies make you feel awkward. When characters are put into awkward situations, you kind of feel that with them. I like that. And that will be on another movie I'm about to talk about in a minute. But yeah, it was fine. I mean, it's not a very memorable film or anything. It's not one I'm going to go back to, but I thought they'd done a decent job of this, and it was a cool little story. When it finished, I said to my wife, "Did you enjoy that?" And she went, "Yeah, it was fine." That's exactly what it is. It's a 3 out of 5 movie. So yeah, not bad. If you have any interest in checking this out, I say go for it. So that is The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Next up, we have Bone Lake, and this was quite fun, but infuriated me at the same time. This sees this couple book this lake house who are going on a little romantic getaway, and this other couple come along who have booked it as well, and there's a mix up with the booking there, and they decide to say, look, maybe we can just get on for the weekend, and when we get back, we'll just get a refund and everyone's happy. And if you feel awkward at any point, you can just leave. So they decide to try and get on, and they become really good friends at this lake house. And then, of course, things start to go down a little bit of a sinister path. And I really liked how this movie questions us as humans. Are we too nice? You know, are we too polite and don't want to offend someone, even if they're being a little bit out of order there? It questions relationships, modern day relationships. You know, are we ever honest with our partners? Do we need to be more honest? Can a little white lie sort of come something a bit more. There was a few interesting topics there, I gotta say. I can't believe that the Maddie Hassan in this movie was not Florence Pugh. She was the most lookalike of Florence Pugh I've ever seen. Florence Pugh went into a Florence Pugh lookalike contest and Maddie Hassan came first. That's how much she looked like. I could not believe it weren't her. Anyway, going a little bit off topic there. And I gotta say, by the end of this movie and the blood-soaked third act it goes to, I was having a lot of fun. There was just a lot of times where I was like, why have you not left this house yet? You have to suspend your disbelief. And if you can do that, I think you can have a good time with this film. I give it 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd, but the more I think about it, I think it may deserve more of a 3.5, because I did have a lot of fun with it. It was just infuriating me at times with the character decisions. And I don't think a film has made me feel this awkward since Speak No Evil, the original. Yeah, I was on the edge of my seat going, oh man, I really have this horrible feeling here that these characters are probably feeling in the movie. And I like it when films do that, like I just mentioned. So, Bone Lake, not a bad film at all. Definitely one worth checking out. Next up, we do have Shelby Oaks, and this is Chris Stuckman's directional debut. A film I was very, very highly anticipating because he has been a huge inspiration for me. I've watched the guy for about 10 years. And I tried to go into this movie without any bias, but I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. Really solid effort from Chris. I gotta say, some of the directional shots that he has here and his choices were brilliant. Some great overhead shots, wide-angle lenses, but it's his mix of found footage, mockumentary, and just casual directing that really complement each other well and all come together to form this awesome ghost tale. A very tightly written and tight-knit ghost story that he has put pen to paper with, and he's had a passion project for so long. And I really like how he's put this real life event where he hasn't met his sister for 17 years and he's finally met up with her onto the screen here. So this basically follows Camille Sullivan's this woman, Camille Sullivan, who's played by Camille Sullivan. His sister has gone missing, this YouTuber, this paranormal investigator, for the past 13 years. A lot of people have been telling her that she's dead, and she is determined to find her. She believes that she's alive. And she goes out to the Shelby Oaks because she's had this little bit of a tip-off, more than a tip-off, but I'm not going to get into it, that she may be alive. And she goes out there to try and find her. And I got to say, Chris ramps up the tension really well in some scenes. You know, there's a moment later on in this house where you know something's upstairs, but you don't quite sort of get there just yet, but it's in the back of your mind. He spoke about a lot of directors, you know, doing that brilliantly, like Hitchcock and everything. So he's got the inspirations on his sleeve there. And I think that's a good thing. Tarantino does it all the time. And a lot of people have criticized Chris for having so many inspirations on his sleeve. But I don't know. I think that's a good thing. I think that's a positive, because that's part of your film history, you know, your film watching history and all the things that you love. You can put it into your own movies and put your own spin on it. That's awesome. Camille Sullivan was absolutely brilliant in this film. Possibly the best and positive thing about it. I believed every little bit of fear she had, every bit of anger, every bit of determination. It felt like her real life sister had gone missing and she was going to stop at nothing to get what she wanted. So awesome performance from her. Yeah, I will say it's a little bit predictable in its story. Not predictable, should I say, but unoriginal. You know, it's just kind of seen this a little bit before. I think there's a few hints here and there that may see people predict it a lot better than I did. Instead of little subtle hints to some major ones. But overall, I thought this was an excellent directorial debut, and I would definitely watch this again. So congratulations, Chris, on your directorial debut. I know you aren't watching, but I can only look forward to what you have coming in future. The guy has got a lot of potential. Next up, we have one of my most anticipated films of the year, and that is Hell House LLC Lineage. Now, the reason for this is I absolutely love the first Hell House movie, and I loved the last one, The Carmichael Manor. And Stephen Cognetti has actually already scared me this year with a movie that he came away from this franchise with 825 Forest Road, a film that got lots of bad reviews, but I actually really liked it, and it creeped me the hell out. So I was quite excited for this one, especially that he was going to go down the route like 825 Forest Road, where it was just, you know, simple director and not going down the found footage route. which all the movies that have come before this are found footage. So I thought that was going to be an interesting take there. But yeah, hugely disappointed with this film, guys, unfortunately. I wanted to love it. I've championed this franchise so much. But, man, this was a total mess. Now, some of the scares that he's going for here don't really come off. There were moments where I was unnerved. And, you know, the slow build up and everything to the scares was adequate. It was okay at times, but never ever to the level of the first or last movie, or even the second movie sometimes, where you really feel like you're going to jump out your seat. And this film starts to go into a little bit of a slasher route for the first act, and then to your genuine ghost story for 2 and 3 acts. But what I hated about this film the most is that there is so much stuff going on here. There are like 4 different subplots, all trying to interweave with different time periods and everything. And I was getting totally lost. I was scratching my head by the end of the film going, what the hell was that? What did that mean? I just couldn't get my head around what was going on here. Now, I liked what he was trying to do with getting, you know, the town haunted instead of just the Abaddon Hotel and the Carmichael Manor. But like I said, there was just too many characters, too many subplots, too many meanings as to why these sort of clowns from the Carmichael Manor were coming after these people. Yeah, it was just a lot. It was a very ambitious film that just felt totally flat in its execution, unfortunately. One thing I did like was the sound. There is a very quiet tone to this film. No, there's not really any loud sound effects or music. It's a very, very quiet, monotone sound throughout the film, and that did give off a little bit of an eerie, creepy presence. I thought that totally worked. But overall, huge disappointment. I hope Stephen Cognetti can do something a little bit better next time, because he is a director who has scared me on 3 occasions now out of the 6 films that he's made. So he's definitely got it in his locker to terrify audiences. Let's hope he gets a little bit of a bigger budget and a better script with his next project, because I know he's been trying to break out of this franchise a lot and he can't quite do it. I know it's very hard to get movies made, but let's hope someone takes a chance on him, because I know he's got it deep down. But that is Hell House Lineage. Okay, guys, it is time for my pick of the bunch. And for my pick of the bunch for this episode is going to be Black Phone 2. Yeah, I just think Scott Derrickson done a solid sequel here, and I just really enjoyed all of the Elm Street vibes that it had going for it. And the grabber was, yeah, quite terrifying at times. Okay, guys, hope you all enjoyed this episode. Sorry it was a little bit of a spliced together one if you did watch the other video, but I hope you all still enjoyed it. I can't see this happening again, really, where 9 of the 10 movies I talk about were all in like a ranking video. It's just the way the stars kind of align there. So, yeah, the next episode should be a mixture of different things, not all horror or anything. Hopefully we'll have that episode coming very soon. If you want to check more episodes out, please look at the description down below for my physical media watches and also my more cinema and digital watches like this one. Thanks so much, guys. You all take care, and I'll see you all in the next video.